So I bet a lot of you are wondering what my thoughts are on Batman v Superman, and if I agree with the critics or if I have my own opinion. And well, you have to wait until after this shameless plug for myself. Okay, so I know a lot of you are itching to know what I thought about Batman v Superman, and for the most part, you know, I enjoyed it. There were parts of it that made me stir in my seat, and I wouldn't really say it's a fun movie that you can take your kids to. I mean, it's dark. This movie does things that no other comic book movie has ever done. And I don't think that Disney has the guts to do what DC did. It is very unsettling. And you can go to my spoiler section and read about the big thing that happens that just, like, you know, shakes the entire world, and also probably ticked off a lot of critics, you know, with that iconic moment from the 90s Superman comics. But that's besides the point. You know, I'm a Batman fan, and you know that I've been waiting a very long time for Batman to be done right in every aspect of the character. The Bruce Wayne mechanic, the Batman, the gadgets, the way he deals with crime fighting, combat, his arsenal, you know, his relationship with Alfred, his allies, and most importantly, the fact that he is a brilliant detective. And Batman v Superman does all of it justice. See what I did there? Every element that I've talked about Batman and, like, the history of the character that you would see in this film is true, except for the Jim Gordon thing. Kind of annoyed by that, but also happy because Jimbo is pretty cool, except when he became Batman, and that just kind of gave me a, you know, twitch a little bit. Although now Batman's back, so I mean, and, you know, Jim's commissioner again, so it's like it never happened, so happy! But other than that, I mean, Batman just nailed it. The reason why he doesn't like Superman was clearly explained, and I had no issues with it. This is Arkham Batman come to life, and that part about the film is phenomenal. The fight between Batman versus Superman is not very long. I wouldn't even say it's the entire first arc, so I was a little disappointed with that. It was mostly CGI like most Marvel films, so... But Batman actually held his own against Superman. It was pretty awesome. I won't really go into specifics, but he does use a lot of elements that you would expect Batman to use. He was prepared for the fight. Kryptonite was used. I'm not going to say how. I want you guys to see that because that was pretty clever. Pretty clever. The only issues that I really had with the film is the pacing. Lex Luthor is a very boring, eccentric psychopath. And he never stops talking. And I don't like people that talk a lot. It bothers me. You know, yes, he's sadistic. Yes, he's evil to the core, which, that's Lex. Originally, you think that he's just trying to protect humanity, but in reality, he just has daddy issues, because dad smacked him around, and he just hates everybody. He kills people. He's like a, he's no different than a Gotham mob family, really. I mean, that's what this Lex was. And Lex has always been a bad guy, but usually he only does stuff to either get more money, more power, or, you know, a legacy of some kind, and he doesn't really do that in this film. As you know, Lex creates Doomsday. Doomsday, I don't really understand the hate. I mean, the CGI was no worse than most of the Marvel films. I actually think he looked a little bit better than the Hulk. Still gross and disgusting, though, seeing those bone things come out. They did the character justice. Doomsday is a killing machine. He's crazy. He's, you know, a Kryptonian creation. How they went about creating him, you know, is a little bit Dr. Frankenstein, but, you know, it pretty much is an ultimate weapon from Krypton that is meant to wipe out planets. And Lex sends him loose to destroy everything. So, I mean, what do you expect from that? But getting back to Batman, so the film opens up with, of course, the Wayne murders, which, you know how I feel about doing origin stories for superheroes. That's how the film opens. They do the credits, they do the Wayne murders again, and, you know, it's just kind of like, okay, we get it. What they did that I liked, and I wish the movie did more of this, is they showed Bruce Wayne being affected by the Metropolis War, like the Kryptonian invasion and what happened to Metropolis and things like that. So, I mean, to see Bruce rush in and, you know, go and help people and things like that, it showed you the type of character that Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne is. Even though he's a moody, grumpy vigilante, you know, by night, his Bruce Wayne cares about people, he tries to help them. When one of his employees is hurt, he sends him checks for 2 years. And he did everything he could to help rebuild Metropolis with Lex. He doesn't really like Lex, but they don't really... They're two different people. Gotham has the stuff across the bay, and Metropolis is the city on the other side. I didn't like how they were so close together, though. But, yeah, I was just really, really impressed by Batman in this film. I feel like he really carried it. But another surprise character was Diana Prince, Wonder Woman. She was really cool in this film. It's not that she didn't have a lot of speaking role in it, but there was a lot of character acting. There was a lot of stuff behind the scenes. She's been around, she's doing stuff. She's trying to get back something that was stolen from her by Lex, and eventually she ends up working with the heroes, and I don't think that she pulled down this film at all. Okay, so let's talk about Superman. Superman was actually handled in this movie brilliantly. We get to see his perspective a lot in this film, just like we got to see a lot of Bruce Wayne's perspective, like the horrors of Metropolis and things like that, and, you know, mankind's point of view. And you also see that Superman's biggest weakness is in here, his heart. He doesn't really understand why people are afraid of him when he's just trying to go out and do good. There's also some points in the film where you feel like Supes is going to hang up the cape, because people don't trust him. Here he is going out of his way to save people, and people are living in fear of him. To be fair, though, you know, his battle did wipe out half of the city, so the wounds haven't really healed for humanity, and, you know, also cause Batman to go, well, batty towards Superman. But Superman is an all-around good guy in the film, and Zack made me like Superman more than I did in Man of Steel. He was this guy that had these amazing gifts, but he didn't want to use them because he was worried about what people would think about him, kind of. And also, you know, his parents were worried that, you know, somebody was going to come and haul him off and stuff like that. And in this film, it showed more of Superman's human side, not necessarily all the stuff that he can do, because they show numerous acts of Superman's heroics in the film, which you see mostly on television from stuff that the news is saying, and they're villainizing Superman the whole time, which, you know, that's what media does. So, I mean, he was just incredible in this film. He was, like, for the first time, I wouldn't say relatable for me, like, because Superman, he's just not a relatable character. He's somebody that we can never aspire to be, because he's just a being without limits. He is somebody so far above us that Batman is just more relatable, as is the rest of the Bat family. But he is a great guy, and he does a lot of things that show how far he is willing to go to protect people, and to protect people that just hate him. You know? I love the dynamic between him and Lois. I never really liked the Wonder Woman Superman thing in the Golden Age comics or in the New 52 comics currently. For me, it's always been Superman and Lois. And Lois is pretty awesome in this film. She kind of bugged me in Man of Steel, to be honest, but her role, I thought that it was great in this. It showed more of her journalistic, you know, prowess, so to speak. It also showed her love for Clark. You know, how she is his entire world, just like Injustice. And when Lois is, of course, killed in Injustice by the Joker, Superman snaps, which might be Batman's nightmare vision, or it could be something from the future, which I'm sure they'll, you know, dive into more. I have my own thoughts on that, but I could do a whole podcast on my thoughts about the dream sequence. But Superman, I liked him in this film. I liked Henry Cavill. I thought that he did a great job as Supes. And I'm not a Superman fan. Amber is a Superman fan. She really likes him. Alright, this point of the video is going to be spoilers, so if you guys want to click ahead, don't want to hear what I have to say and just go back to my regular review, then go for it. So, the biggest thing that I was happy about is Dick Grayson is not the dead Robin. In fact, no name of Robin, other than his costume, is mentioned or shown. And it is brief. There's no flashback. There's no nothing. It's just a dead Robin. You can, speculate that it's Tim because it's a bow staff. You could, whatever Robin you want to put in there, but most likely it's Jason Todd. Ben Affleck, David Goyer, Jeff Johns, Zack Snyder, they all are familiar with who the dead Robin is. And since they're really using the Frank Miller books for inspiration and capturing a lot of those iconic moments like Batman with the lightning and things like that, and the cinematography and the graphic novel feel to the fights and things like that, then I think it's safe to say that they'll treat the characters correct, and the dead Robin will be Jason Todd. After, surrounding myself in that world for about 2.5 hours and just, seeing how well they treat the characters, even the ones I didn't really like, I'm confident to say that DC's not going to screw this up. Unless Dan Dido somehow manages to do something, but as long as I keep Dido away from this, then I'm confident that a Nightwing film or a Red Hood film, very likely. Another character that wasn't really seen but did film scenes was Jenna Malone, who will play Barbara Gordon, and I was a little disappointed that we didn't really get a lot of Batman's world other than Batman and Alfred, but I've been told that there's going to be some type of either rated R edition or special edition of the film that is going to be released, and we'll see more of Jenna Malone's stuff. I just really hope that she did not appear in the Battle of Metropolis, because that would be terrible. Unless, of course, her legs were crippled then, and she became Oracle or something like that, but that was just a horrific scene, and someone who experienced in the New York area 9/11, I have to say, that scene with buildings coming down and the dust everywhere, that brought back memories, and that was a little unsettling. So this movie, doesn't really pull punches in that respect. It does a lot of things that will shock you. One of the biggest things, too, that a lot of people were really just stunned by and didn't see coming. I did because, I've read the comics. I grew up with a certain arc involving Superman in the 90s, which happened in this movie. And I was just like, really? They're gonna just kill Superman? Okay? But they did it right. They did it the way that was done in the comics. Other than the Justice League fighting Doomsday and Justice League International, you had so many groups of people fighting Doomsday, and Superman had to come back, and, he fought Doomsday to a standstill. They both killed each other at the same time, Superman with just his brute strength, and Doomsday with his bone claw things. And we all know that Superman regenerated over the course of 2 years, or something like that, and he came back better than ever, but with long hair, so he became a hippie. And then, he lost his powers and became like this weird thing of energy or something like that, and there were two of him, a red and a blue one, but I hope they don't do that in cinema because that was a mistake. Bring him back to life, that's fine. Just don't give him long hair, please. This isn't the 90s. We don't need Billy Ray Cyrus Superman. But I thought the way that they did his death was very profound and also very honorable. Like, he was fighting for his friends, even though he and Batman were only friends for like maybe 20 minutes. They kind of bonded over the name Martha, the mom thing, sending Batman to go save his mom and trusting him while he took on Lex's creature feature, basically. So, I thought that was a little rushed, too. It was just kind of like, okay, we knew Batman and Superman would throw down, and some common enemy would get them together, and they'd have to work together. But I really thought that his death was very well done, and it did honor to the source material, but there wasn't a dry eye in the room. We were in a packed theater, and the kids who went to see this movie, I felt for them. I didn't cry, but it brought back memories of the death of Optimus Prime, like when I was little. I was in the theater, I witnessed, him passing on the Matrix of leadership, and for a lot of kids, Superman is their hero, their idol, and to see him die for the first time on screen, That had to be pretty tough. Amber was clutching my arm the whole time because she was just sad. I tried to warn her ahead of time because I got... I always read up on some things, so I'm prepared to do reviews and go in with an open mind. I don't really like doing things blind because I like to critique every element of the film when I watch it, and that aspect just really... I thought it was done very well. If that's one of the reasons why the critics are very upset that Superman died in a Batman versus Superman film, Superman dies fighting Doomsday for the first time. Over time, he is able to kick Doomsday's butt, but the first meeting is that of tragedy, and the world is seriously affected by the loss of Superman. Although in this film, even though Superman died for the world didn't really like him, so it's going to be interesting to see how that works out in the Justice League movies coming out in the next couple of years, and solo Batman films and Superman films and Wonder Woman and stuff like that. I didn't like the ending where Batman and Wonder Woman are going to go out and kind of do the Avengers initiative. That felt very rushed. The cameos of the Justice League was okay. It made sense that Lex and the world would be investigating metahumans based on what happened with Superman and Zod and things like that. You know, I thought that was done tastefully. Aquaman looks awesome, and all I have to say about that is he doesn't look like just some pansy that talks to fish. This is the Aquaman that many of us have been pining for a long time. The 90s Aquaman, you know, someone you don't want to mess with, someone who doesn't like the surface dwellers at all. You know, so an Atlantean war or something big could happen. And, you know, if him and Wonder Woman fight, Wonder Woman was amazing in the film. Just astounding. Everything that I've loved about the character, her bracelets, the lasso of truth, her super strength, her flight, everything. Everything about Wonder Woman was done correctly. Her outfit, her personality, you know... The only thing that I was surprised by, because I don't really remember her being immortal. So, I mean, the fact that she was around back in the early 1900s, which we'll see in her, you know, Wonder Woman film, which will probably be pretty cool. She was around during World War I, and she probably fought in World War II, and, you know... So, I mean, that was different, but that's not really a big concern for me. I thought Gal Gadot did a great job, and I liked the chemistry between her and Bruce Wayne. Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room, so to speak. Why the critics don't like the film. I have some ideas. Probably not going to be very popular. This is a very different world that we live in today compared to the 80s when I grew up, where I feel like things were a lot more civilized. And people actually had, like, you know, a type of respect for one another and stuff like that. And this movie kind of harkens back to that thinking, as opposed to, say, the more progressive thinking these days. It's very true to what Nolan movies are. Even though Nolan didn't direct this film, he was the producer behind it. And there's a lot of Nolan overtones in this, which isn't really popular in the United States. The rest of the world loves this film for many reasons. But the reason why a lot of critics are bashing this film to death, not only does it clash with their ideologies, but it also clashes with their ideas of superheroes are. For them, going to see these films, they're not comic book fans. They're not. They have a rough idea, you know, from Adam West or maybe the Keaton film, Iron Man or Captain America and things like that. So when they want to see a film about Batman versus Superman, they want to see not a clash of two characters' perspectives, which basically this film is. They want to see the superheroes fight. What they want to see is, you know, kind of like the Avengers. You know, it's a huge group of superheroes. They get together. It's lighthearted. It's fun for the whole family. And at the end of the day, you know, it was just a fun, thrilling adventure. And they go and they write about it. They get their check from Disney, and they call it a day. The DC film rocked them to the very core. It struck some notes that they didn't want to hear. It showed things that are going on in the world right now that they don't want to be reminded of. There was 9/11 comparisons. There was war on terrorism. Superman going to, you know, some Middle Eastern country and interfering in the government, very Injustice style. Taking out a dictator, you know. The media talking about like whether or not Superman was right in that aspect. The media actually plays a role as a villain in this film. So this film captured that perfectly, just like Frank Miller did in his Dark Knight books. We're not going to talk about the strikes again. It doesn't exist to me. I hate that so much because it ruined The Dark Knight Returns. And yeah, this film does that. You will see this film and you will be thinking. You don't want to be thinking at a superhero film. You want to see your favorite heroes duke it out and become BFFs after. And this film didn't do that. And that really annoyed the critics. Another thing that really ticked them off, they don't mention this, but you know they were bothered by it. You know they were rustling in their chairs and they were like, oh, they brought religion into this. They did. There's a lot of allegories in this to the Christian faith and other things that today people don't want to be reminded about. They don't want to see a comparison. They don't want to hear about God. They don't want to hear about the devil. And DC did it repeatedly, which they're kind of hammering it home a little bit too hard. You know, as a person of faith, I was just kind of like, okay, we get it. Superman's supposed to be the Christ figure. And, you know, Lex is supposed to be Satan. Okay, we get it. It's like, but all the speeches with Lex going over and over and over again about comparisons with different mythology and religions, and, you know, it was just, that was too much. That, if I was editing the film, that would have been minimal. My spoiler section talks about the other big, iconic thing that happened that many of them didn't know. So that came as a shock to them, but people familiar with comics, you'll understand about a certain arc about Superman in the 90s and what happened when Superman fought Doomsday. That probably upset them. Another thing that really, aside from all the obvious, like, you know, good versus evil and religious stuff and Superman, is that Batman indirectly kills people. And they go and they write their, you know, puff piece papers, and they go to Rotten Tomatoes, which, by the way, don't trust Rotten Tomatoes. Nobody has any credibility for giving Sharknado an 84%. I'm sorry. All credibility goes whoosh, gone. And some of the other films that they said are, quote, good are some of the worst films ever. So you're wondering if Rotten Tomatoes or those critics got a little incentive for certain things. Although I'm very worried that based on what the media is going to say about this, because they're going to tear apart this movie. I don't need to be a psychic. They're going to tear this movie to shreds. And now you have a rough idea why. The movie talks about religion. It also paints good and evil. It's not a Marvel film. So a lot of other problems that people have with the film is, which critics have spoiled for people, which isn't really a spoiler because Snyder talked about it, but the fact that Batman kills people. Indirectly. There's a scene where a guy falls on a grenade that he was trying to throw to Batman, and you just be like, okay, that happened in the Arkham games. It also happened in the Keaton films and Miller's work. There were a lot of bad guys that died indirectly because of Batman's actions, whether the Batmobile hit them, or a missile exploded, or, you know, their gun went off in their face after Batman jammed it. Maybe sometimes in comics, Batman, you know, will try to go out of his way to help that person, but he was pressed for time. And I'm against killing, a Batman killing. I don't really believe in it. I'm kind of glad that the New 52 doesn't really do that. The 90s and 80s comics were very clear with, they weren't really going to let Batman kill, which is debatable with the killing joke. But Miller was just like, nope, my Batman kills. You may use rubber bullets, but people still die. And Batman does indirectly kill not as many people as Superman. I will tell you that right now. They tell you the death toll, and it's a lot. When Batman was killing people in the dream sequence and breaking people's necks and shooting them, I saw parents walk out with their kids. Like, they were just done, gone. So if parents see this film, just be advised there are things in it that if I had kids, I wouldn't take them to see. And I can kind of see why my parents didn't want me to see Batman Returns or the Batman film in theaters when I was like 6. Because for them, that was pretty dark. The Batman did kill people and it was pretty gruesome. But nothing compares to Man of Steel 2, aka Batman v Superman. So, but I thought it was pretty well done, and I left the theater with all pistons firing and just like very hopeful of a sequel, but also there's a lot of fears for me as well based on the reception that it's going to get and things like that, because there are a lot of people that just will follow what reviews say and what other opinions are, and they won't really go and judge for themselves. And in all honesty, this is a film that you have to see for yourself. It's not something that I can tell you to go see. It's not something that any YouTuber or critic can tell you to see. It's something that you have to invest the time, go see it for yourself, and, you know, see if you like it or you don't. I know Amber really liked the film, but I also know half the time she was latching onto my arm like, you know, the world was ending. Because, I mean, it was hard for her as a Superman fan. I'll be completely honest. Like, I tried to warn her ahead of time some stuff was going to happen, but, you know, she was just... You know, but afterwards she was like, this is the best Batman film I've ever seen. She didn't say Superman film. This is the best Batman film I've seen. I like it better than Batman Begins. So, yeah, all we can hope for is that the film does okay so that we can get the Justice League films and we can get that solo Batman film, because since you guys are mostly a Batman audience, this is the Batman we've wanted. This is the Batman that we have asked for and been very patient for. The guy that they got to play the Bat is good. He's great. You know, the little snippets and trailers that you've seen, it doesn't do him justice. All the fears that people had about Wonder Woman, they were ill. They were wrong. She does a great job. You know, she becomes the character. You see Wonder Woman on the silver screen. And that shot of the Trinity... Even though people were like, you know, saying in the comments or whatever that they didn't really like that scene because it wasn't that great, I'm going to tell you why that scene wasn't good. The music in this film sucks, okay? They brought back Hans Zimmer, and that guy can't compose worth crap, okay? I don't know how he did Pirates of the Caribbean. That's like one of his only good films. Because once again... He takes what could be the most iconic moment in cinema history, and he fails! The music in this film just, like, agitated me as a musician. I was just enraged. It's bad. It's like Marvel films bad. Like the music. At least the Avengers have a catchy theme. There is no catchy Batman theme. There is no triumphant, heroic theme for Superman. And that is what is missing from these films. That is what's missing from DC's films. They need music to set the tone. Without it, it's just boring. The one reason why I really believe the Keaton films are so amazing is the theme music. Danny Elfman was brilliant as a composer. You have heroic themes, you have villain themes, you have overtones, you have a city that has its own musical atmosphere. These films that DC's producing, I haven't seen Wonder Woman, but I am fearful that they're going to get Hans Zimmer to do the music, which would mean another boring 2-hour film. And nobody ever addresses this because they have no musical knowledge. They have no musical know-how. They're, you know, they don't understand that. They're thinking the film is boring because of the story. The story's great. I enjoyed the story. The only time that I was dozing off is when they would play Lex's theme or when they would play the ambient music or whatever. And then the final battle, there's like this rock music. It's like, so you don't even know what theme music you're going to use. And as a drummer... And as, you know, a pretty talented musician, that just, like, that had me enraged. Beyond, you know, I would call up my friend Chris Holland and be like, we need to do an arrangement of this, but I'm just thinking, there is no arrangement that can be done of this. You would have to combine all the themes into one just to get one coherent thing. And that's what I always hated about the Nolan films, aside from Batman Begins, which had excellent music. It's very atmospheric. And in this type of war film, atmospheric music doesn't do it. It just doesn't. Cinematography, I don't really know about that stuff. I thought it looked cool. There was a lot of slow motion stuff, which, I don't know. I've been tired of slow motion stuff in cinema since The Matrix. I mean, it was cool then. And, you know, the war scenes, it felt like very 300, you know. But, I definitely walked away from this film not hating it, but just like, did they really do that? Did they really... Yeah. They did it. They really did it. And people going into this film, they have no idea what type of emotional roller coaster that they're in for. It's not a fun thrill ride. It's not something that I would ever suggest kids to see. But I would suggest people that, you know, can handle a lot of drama to go see the film, and if you can stomach the music. The story is actually fantastic, but it doesn't really feel like anything of a comic book. I'll let you guys decide for yourself. I would give the film, because the pacing kind of goes off a little bit, and the music irritates me, and Lex bothers me, I'd probably give it about a 7 out of 10. You know, I would definitely go rewatch it again, just so that a Batman film could be made. But I hope you guys, you know, came across with something. I know this review is not going to be popular because I mentioned things that everybody's thinking, but nobody's going to say. In terms of the media, in terms of good and evil, because that's not PC to talk about good and evil. Good and evil doesn't exist in this world today, except see it on the news all the time, because evil consumes people. You know? It's wicked. And that's what this film has in it. There's a lot of evil in it, but good, in the end, does triumph. So that's the important thing. But now I want to hear from all you guys in the comments section below. Tell me what you thought about the film. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Feel free to debate amongst yourselves. If you guys want Amber and I to do a podcast about this, let me know. I know she has her own thoughts on the film, and she was just like thinking about so many things. And she really liked it, and, you know, I walked out of the theater not shaking, not angry, very critical, because critic. Very happy about the Grayson thing, though. Don't care about spoilers anymore. That sold it for me. Yeah, I could just talk about this, and actually, I have a Zelda live stream to get to, so God bless, happy gaming, thanks for watching. I don't care if this video is unpopular. Everybody has an opinion and has the right to say what they want, and I said hopefully what you guys needed to hear to make the decision for yourself. So God bless, happy watching the film, and I'll see you guys on the Nightwing 1 channel with something Batman related. See ya!